Okay, whew. This is all I wanted to do this entire time. Hello, Reapers, my name is Seth, and today we're going to be taking a look at Slasher'S Keep. I've been waiting for this game for what seems like years. I remember when I saw this on Steam Greenlight, I immediately upvoted it, thought that it looked amazing, and the fact that this is being made by just like one individual is insane. Like, everything is all hand-drawn, and you'll get to see the unique style of the game when we end up going into the adventure. But the other big reason that I love it, it's a roguelike, man, and you know how much I love my roguelikes. This is probably one of the best first-person roguelikes out there. It does have some difficulty scaling, as you'll see later in the video. I'm gonna kind of explain the mechanics of the game and stuff to you guys right now, and then eventually we're gonna end up skipping to some of the later floors so that you can see some of the late-tier combat and everything like that. But for the most part, the way that the game works is you can either have perma-death, where you just die and your file is dead, in which case the game is impossible, or you have, not permadeath, where if you die, you still end up respawning here in the prison, but you end up getting to keep all of your levels and stats and stuff like that. To a degree, like, it doesn't seem like it keeps all of your stats for some weird reason. It only seems to keep a very small handful, and you get to keep your money as well, which is important. And levels, of course, means that you're going to end up getting all these different perks slowly over time. So Backstabber, 50% more damage from behind. That's kind of a default perk. Bloodlust, kill streaks now increase your melee range damage by 5% per kill and stuff like that, right? So anyways, let's break out of prison. But oh no, there's the keys right there. How do we actually do that? Oh, jeez. I loved that. When I first started playing this game, I thought that was amazing. So, by the way, this is going to be the starting loot chest, right? And the reason why it ended up having such decent looking gear is because, as you'll see later in the video, there's these drop boxes where you can end up actually dropping off gear that you have later on that you'll be able to then pick up and use in your next playthrough. So, I ended up dropping this axe, which has a little bit of lifesteal to it, which is nice. But I like using the swords because I like having the fast movement speed of the weapons, because otherwise these two-handed, well, not two-handed, but the heavier weapons end up taking, taking up a lot of your movement speed and thus losing a lot of survivability, right? So the graphics are just like absolutely beautiful. I love it. Like, this is probably one of the better looking indie games out there just because of the fact that it's like so cartoonish and cool. And we kind of got a bit of a Skyrim combat system where you've got like charged attacks and stuff like that. And depending on the direction that you move in while you're doing your charged attack is going to end up being where your character ends up preparing. So if we end up pulling back, very similar to Skyrim, it's going to be a lunge forward, and you end up doing extra damage if you sprint into the enemy and stuff, which can, of course, be very risky. You got to really watch for it. And then there we actually saw that we did a parry, which I think we still ended up taking damage, but it wasn't nearly as much as it would be if we ended up just taking a raw hit. And the parrying is actually a really fun mechanic, despite the fact that some of the later tiered enemies are just so overwhelming that you don't really get to see it that much, or at least that's what I kind of feel. It feels like you got to go through the game multiple times before you, whoopsie daisy, before you can even, be strong enough to handle some of the late tiered zones and stuff like that, right? And the parrying's really neat though, because it's like you get to you have to very specifically block the direction that an enemy attacks you. So you won't get to see it right now unless we end up magically fighting an enemy that's got a sword. This guy might actually have one right in that next room, but most likely he's got a staff because that's what these guys always do. Yeah, he's got a staff. So unfortunately, we aren't going to be able to see the parrying to its awesomeness just yet. But just for example, like when we're fighting these guys right there, not only are we causing more damage if we cut off their heads or hit their heads, but we have to like block specifically his hand and where it's coming from in order to, deflect it. So another thing too is this door, as we ended up coming into this room, we're locked in. So very often the game is going to end up forcing you to kind of like fight these enemies rather than just go in, pick at one of them, and run away. So usually what you'll end up doing at the later tiers is you kind of end up waiting at the door and luring one enemy at a time, and it gets a little bit slow after a while, honestly speaking. Like, if there's one thing that I would criticize about the game is that the balancing right now is just way too difficult. It's a very difficult roguelike game, dude, like seriously, and you just kind of end up getting overwhelmed in the fact that if you ever end up having like a slow-moving weapon, it's just like GG. So the other thing too, you're probably noticing that right there, it's on a cooldown. The funny thing is that's actually us hitting the enemies with our inventory stack, and I'm not sure. Don't quote me on this, all right? But I think that as you have more items in your inventory, it has a little bit more weight to it. Maybe it doesn't. I could be wrong about that, right? But you see all these spikes around and stuff like that. So let me actually see if I can get this guy to be lured right over here like this, so we can. Nope. Come on, you. If we end up hitting him just at the right angle, we can knock him right into the spikes, and that's usually a one-hit kill, is to knock an enemy into a trap. But, of course, it's very tricky to end up doing. As you saw in that last room where the mage was, we were kind of like... I was kind of trying to, like, knock him into the pit, right? So now we actually have our first magic weapon, as well as... whatever this is, that's just going to give us 2 strength permanently. I've never actually seen that item. And then this map item that we can end up using, which is going to end up showing all of the special spots on the map. So we get to see that there is, in fact, a secret wall here, which means that there's a button somewhere on this floor that we would have to interact with in order to actually get it to open. But let's swap over to the staff. So there's all sorts of different magic staves in the game that are going to end up having different mechanics. And I love how cartoonish they are. Like even this one where it's a weird little fairy one, and it's just like such a glittery, like, you know, oopsie daisy, I'm already out of magic here. But either way, dude, like such a nice sense of humor about this game, you know, like this game, like the developer, I'll give him that. He knows exactly what he's selling right here, which is what I find so impressive about it, because we've got like this cartoonish looking roguelike that kind of has like, you know, it's really intense and really, really like difficult, while also feeling very light because of the art style, and then also just kind of like the comedic effect of the stuff that you run into, and chopping off heads and stuff is really fun. I think that's actually one of our enchantments, Blue-Blooded. Is that the one that's actually doing it right there? You regenerate an additional 10% of your mana on your own. No. Is this the one then? Mind Blast. Severed heads explode for 50 fire damage with a blast radius of 60. Yeah. So I thought that that was some type of a passive that we were rocking right there. So you can see right here, this is locked, or requires a key, I guess, in order to get into that cell, right? And then this is going to end up being a health globe. We'll get to see that a little bit later in the video. And I kind of just want to go through, not necessarily the entire floor, but just give you an idea of some of the different mechanics and stuff that you can end up seeing before we end up skipping on to the future gameplay, right? So that's an explosive barrel. It takes a little while to figure out that the red ones are, of course, the explosive barrels. There, we just ended up unlocking that secret, so let's head right back to that one, so that we can end up taking a peek, and I'll show you what this is about. So as you end up going into the secret areas, you're going to get tons of experience points, and sometimes you'll run into secret areas that are like this, by the way, where it's just got like enemies in it, and it's not just going to end up being all goodness, you know, you stupid mage character. Ah! Take that, dum-dum. So all of the gear too, like the game itself does a really good job of kind of just letting you know, okay, this gear that you found on the ground, yeah, it's better. You know, we can see right here, this one's got more damage, but it's got less attack speed, and it's got the life leech and gives you more intelligence. However, one gripe that I do have with the game, again, is that I don't think that there's a button so that we could just blatantly see this compared to our weapon, so we can see 38 to 48. Oh wow, it's got more attack, but then we look at ours and it's 26 to 35. So it's like, is it really that much more attack? Another thing too that's really nice is you can actually just move and readjust like all of the inventory stuff. So that's really, really helpful, because especially it being a roguelike, is maybe you're going into your inventory and you don't want to actually see, you know, you gotta watch out, because the game doesn't actually pause, so you can end up getting killed like right away if you're not careful, you know what I mean? So let's see if we can end up... You can also use your inventory stack just strategically to kind of give yourself a bit of an edge of survivability, right? And then there we actually got a different staff. So that's going to end up being a Burnt Out Twig, which is going to end up being a different type of spell. This is going to be a Shotgun Blast, which is one of my favorites. And then we've got our chest right here. And if you're wondering about like the full inventory thing that we're dealing with right here, we are going to end up having on some of the later floors, you can end up running into shops. And those shops, of course, are going to be able, you're going to be able to sell these items and, of course, buy items off of the shop as well. And that's where, typical of a roguelike, it's kind of a trade-off where it's like, do you end up spending your gold to get yourself some new gear, or do you just want to get yourself some health potions? Or, in more cases than not, I would actually recommend that if you find a drop box, you should probably just drop off all of your gear like all of your best gear, you should probably just throw it into the box, because most likely you're going to end up dead on your run anyways, right? So it's kind of like you got to keep those things in mind. Nice explosive attack is going to go off right there, and it's nice that it doesn't end up hurting us like most roguelikes would. Okay, I'm just going to avoid that room. Typical of a roguelike, you always have the choice, you know, that's kind of the whole thing, is are you sure you want to end up going into that room and fighting all the enemies, or is it something that you just blatantly want to avoid? So we got some knockback off of that, and then we got another staff right here, a light firestorm. So if this is the one that I think it is, I'm pretty sure this one's like a machine gun. No, what is that? That's weird. I've never seen that staff, actually. I'm not exactly sure what that spell was, but we got a level, so now we can end up getting ourselves a little bit of an increase on our stats here, and we're going to end up confirming a little bit to our intelligence so that we can end up using these gloves, or is it gloves? Yeah, it was gloves instead of these ones. And then what do we want to end up going for? We probably should try and get ourselves a base, you know, our base stats up a bit. So if we kind of look at some of our gear, we can see this gives us 2 intelligence, right? So we're going to want to get 2 more intelligence at least, and then maybe 1 more to our dexterity, because a lot of the gear ends up kind of doing all that stuff, right? But if you end up hovering over any of these, you can actually just see like specifically what each of the stats ends up doing and stuff. And this thing right here will end up showing a little bit later in the video, right? So anyways, I think that's pretty much it, everybody, outside of me trying to go and get to the exit, which always requires the silver key. We do have the copper key so that we could go into that jail cell that we saw earlier, but you can see in the bottom left of the map, there's a locked door as well as an up floor, because that's the whole thing about this game, is you're actually climbing out of the dungeon rather than being all the way in. And incidentally, another thing that I think is really cool is if we end up quitting to the main menu right here, which may end up losing my file, but honestly, who cares? We can go to a new file right here, and you can see that there's a bunch of locked characters, as well as an Amazon and a Northerner, and there's actually achievements for completing the game as each of the different characters, so it kind of promotes replayability and more different runs and stuff like that. Not sure whether these characters have any benefits over one another, but it is still pretty cool that we do have the option. In either case though, folks, we're gonna skip to some of the later tiered gameplay so that you can see what that's about. So here we are at floor 3 or 4 or something like that. We can actually see on the mini-map in the top left that we've got an anvil, as well as a couple other things. Most of all, that anvil is something that I'm really interested in, because I've never actually gotten this far in the game, and what the anvil is going to do is allow us to customize our weapons, but the difficulty curve as soon as you end up getting to these higher floors it's absolutely insane, you know, because of the fact that you can keep your level from this point on into the future of the game, means that the game is going to not only progressively get harder, while whoopsie daisy, while you're kind of going through it and everything like that, but it does mean that things should potentially end up getting easier for you as you level up. We can see we're already dealing with a big problem here where I'm at 1 hit and I don't really have any health potions to deal with. I hope there's no enemies up here. There is a zombie, but I do see a health globe, so I'm just gonna run for it right there, grab it as soon as possible. Jeez Louise, because otherwise this guy could have potentially given us a lot of trouble. Let me hit this switch right here. That ended up triggering a secret door somewhere on the map. I think that's actually it over on the right side, like looking at the map, because I ended up using a consumable, I don't have it in my inventory anymore obviously, of a map, and what those do is kind of mark everything on your mini-map, so you can kind of just use that to your advantage, right? Okay, let's just be very careful here. I also don't like how my character keeps getting caught on these stairs, but see, like, geez, these enemies are like so powerful, dude. It's ridiculous, man. At least we've got 1 health potion now, which is good. And I should save that food rather than trying to eat it like the scrub that I am, because we've got full health now that we ended up getting that health globe, which is absolutely beautiful. Like, seriously, watch out for this stuff right here. Is like, I don't know, it kind of slows you down as you end up standing in it, which is kind of disgusting. But getting over to that anvil is going to be a bit of a problem, because we can see we've got a long way to go. Now, this right here, this is very interesting, because this right here allows you to dump items into the chute that you can then end up using on your next playthrough. So I've already kind of dumped a couple items as of right now, but I don't know how far we're going to end up actually getting. Like, again, we only have the 1 health potion left and then a couple pieces of meat, which already right here we can see we got big problem. A mage is up there buffing all of the side creatures, so this potentially could end up going very badly for us. I didn't want to sneak in too far there because the door was like closing behind us, and it did. Oh gosh, this is gonna be very bad. Let's try and stick him to the wall. Yep, that's a nice insta-kill, which is great because otherwise, as you see, that guy already almost one-shot me. Like, seriously, way too powerful, these enemies, dude. Like, seriously, so all I'm gonna do is just keep dancing around and hopefully not have to deal with too much of a problem with these guys being as evil as they are. Oh, thank goodness, he was just a mage, so he was busy trying to charge his attacks while we were just dodging all of them over and over again. So this is a golden slime as well, by the way, and what they end up doing is as you end up defeating them, they'll usually give you, like, really good loot, but defeating them can end up being a bit of a problem. As you can see, we're already taking some pretty big damage here. Let me just consume all the food that's on these desks here, and hopefully, oh gosh, this is bad. There we go, we got him. Whoo! That was too close for comfort, dude. Way too close for comfort. So we got full inventory. Let me just drop a bunch of this junk because is that better than ours? It's got more damage to it, and honestly speaking, I would prefer it over... this is a telekinetic staff, which what we can do with it is push enemies and then also just pick items up and then throw them at enemies. But it ends up consuming a certain amount of mana and ultimately was good in the earlier floors, not really good in the floor that we're at right now, though, unfortunately. So let me grab these other random side items here. This guy's sword, which does actually have decent damage, but it's not, like, really good or anything. Also, I'm noticing a secret behind this wall right here. So that's absolutely perfect. Let's also consume that drink, and now is the perfect time for us to head all the way back so that I can end up eating all that food that we had in that first room with the health globe. Interestingly enough, certain like weapons and armor and stuff can actually end up giving you extra perks. So you can kind of see we've got a whole bunch of them right now. But this one, Gourmet Level 1, where we get 38% more HP and MP from just eating food items, right? But obviously it doesn't really give that much healing in general. I have seen gear that actually will give you more to the Gourmet stat, and then it would end up being level 2, obviously. And that's the whole thing too, is we're getting more and more perks, I think anyways, as we're leveling up as well. So very interesting. This is kind of a big trade-off here because we're going to end up having slow movement speed at the cost of having almost double our attack damage. So that's where a little bit of strategy comes in. Like, do we actually sacrifice it? I don't know. I don't think so. I like the ability of being able to swing as fast as we can. Not to mention this one has Force Knight, gives us extra dexterity and intelligence and melee speed and stuff like that. But we're gonna try it. We're gonna try it, Reapers, because I don't know, it could end up working out very well for us just because if we have the extra damage, maybe we won't have to deal with these enemies being as powerful as they are. I love how the Easter eggs are behind like a poster. Like, that's just so, I don't know, it's so, it just kind of fits perfectly where usually it ends up going into a jail cell. Kind of a nice Shawshank Redemption reference, right? Okay, so we've got this weird worn Shashka, which looks like it's some type of a weird bone weapon or something. I guess I'll just drop that on the ground. And then we got, here's where we got a component, a shaft. So that is going to end up being, ooh, that's going to end up being one of the items that we use for crafting new gear, right? So hopefully we can end up actually doing it. This staff right here, this is actually one of my favorite. This one's like a shotgun. So it's quite powerful. Like, it just absolutely destroys things. Usually takes a lot of mana though. But man alive, these guys. Like, I can't believe how powerful these enemies are, dude. Okay, let's use our big, slow bang. Get out of my face, you stupid idiot. Like, seriously, what are these guys' problem, man? They're, like, so powerful. I can't even believe it. Okay, so we got another weapon here, and this one's not too bad. Storm Tamer. I'm not sure what most of these passive abilities are, but you can always just check them in this tier. Like, Pyromancer right here enables impact fireballs. All fire damage has a 19% chance to set your target on fire. So that would obviously end up helping us if we ended up having any fire-based weapons. I really hope we can get to the weapon customization today, though, because seriously, it's pretty cool I have seen it in like trailers and stuff. Okay, I'm gonna try and lure this enemy here. And let's try and use our... Oh gosh, he ended up hitting me pretty bad. This could be it. This could be the end. Oh gosh. That was so close, dude. Way too close for comfort. Like, we're at 1 hit now. What am I supposed to do here? Okay, something just randomly died. I don't know what it was. We got like another character up there, another one over there. Oh, jeez Louise. We got so much to navigate. We got so much to navigate here. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna use this staff here. Let's just keep zapping him with this thing and see if we can keep our range on him as well as just killing him, because we've got a little bit more mana than we need. That guy's going to end up using magic damage on us, which is not something that I want to end up taking a hit from right now. There we go. Okay, at least the mages usually are pretty easy to kill. They generally have a lot less health to deal with. So, whew, that was nice. Okay, and then we've got another pitfall that we could have knocked some of the enemies into. I'm also really bad at this game. Like, I'll just say I should be blocking and parrying a lot more. It gives you a lot more survivability. I just often don't end up doing it, despite the fact that I really, really should. Okay, are we going to be able to even hit this guy right here? Okay, well, we can at least aggro his little buddy, which this is going to end up going very badly for us. Oh my gosh. Okay. He's got that buff from the mage too, which means he's probably going to end up wrecking my face or something. Jeez Louise. Okay. I keep on wanting to grab all these items too, because if there was a merchant on this floor, then we could sell it and end up getting like a whole bunch of items and stuff. So let me see if I can end up hopefully clearing this other room here. Oh, you know what we can do? Okay, this will be good. This will be good. We got a nice trap that we can trigger right here. Bam! That'll just one-shot that guy, so that's good to deal with. And then I don't want... I gotta be very careful here when dealing with these guys. Okay, we got a nice secret wall going on, interestingly enough. I guess this is one of the walls that we ended up triggering earlier. And then we got more dudes to deal with, and then we've got this thing up over here. So you know what we can do? As much as I would love to keep a lot of this gear that we're rocking, I'm gonna drop this sword, because what this does, this station right here, I don't want that. This station ends up, like, you sacrifice items in order to get other items. Usually greens give mana. I don't want to risk, like, taking damage from this thing, because if you give it, like, a really bad item, it gets angry at you, and then just ends up, like, destroying your face, right? So we ended up getting at least 1 health potion out of that. I was hoping to get a whole bunch more, but it doesn't seem like we ended up getting anything worthwhile. At least we got the magic potion, I guess, but yikes, dude. So we do actually have the silver key, so technically we could just bump up to the next floor. But why would we want to do that when everything is, like, already deadly enough here? You know what I mean? So we got a trap going on right here. I don't want to trigger it just because I know what it's going to do is around this corner here, there's a spike trap that this would end up swinging around the wall and hitting us. Very similar to a Skyrim trap that we've seen in the past. Oh, gosh. So we got another one right here as well as an explosive barrel. And unfortunately, it seems like we've got... we gotta go this way with where that little zombie was. So we can dance around this little central thing. Hopefully that'll end up helping us out a little bit when we're dealing with this guy, because otherwise he's gonna be a lot of trouble, dude. Let's just, there we go. At least he was able to die right away and gave us another health potion. Thank you. So that I don't end up getting just completely one shot here. I'm just gonna try and keep my range. Okay, here we go. Here we go. We're forced to melee. Ha! There you go, stupid zombie. At least they're not as tanky as those other goblin creatures, dude. Like, seriously. For a roguelike, extremely difficult, dude. Like, the difficulty curve is insane. Okay, so we got... gosh. This guy is going to give me some real trouble here, because we gotta try and deal with him while, like, they continue a follow-through of their attacks while we're doing ours. So it's like, as we're in the middle of swinging and knocking him back, he's still doing his follow-through. So we can end up taking damage if they end up, like, grabbing us right away with their attacks. So I want to try and be very careful, because we still have that anvil on our right, which it seems like, oh, it's in such a difficult spot, dude. Why do we gotta go through, like, every single room in the entire game in order to just get to this stupid thing? Like, man alive. And I don't want to go into that room, because we're going to end up getting stuck, right? Because that's the whole thing, is when we end up going into these rooms, usually it'll end up locking behind us, and we do not want that. So at least we can be nice and strategic while fighting these single enemies over and over. But we're going to end up running into a big problem if we got to go into this place and start fighting all these guys. Okay, so he ended up aggroing towards me. That's good, because I just want to fight them one at a time. Unfortunately, that's kind of how you have to fight in this game, which is a little bit disappointing. Because honestly, like, I really like the combat in this game, and I like how it plays, but it's like, it's just so insanely difficult that half the time this is how you have to play. Or at least this is how I've noticed I have to play, just with these later tiered enemies and stuff. Oh, great, I ended up going in a little too far, and we got sealed in, so we're gonna have to fight this guy right here, and he's got a friend. Of course he's got a friend. Jeez Louise. Okay, well, we ended up somehow knocking that guy against the spike wall just sideways like that, so that was really nice. We got some food items in this area as well, so we can end up grabbing a lot of these. And ooh, we got an Invulnerability Potion. That's more what I'm talking about. So what this is going to end up doing is if we consume it, it's going to make us invulnerable for a short duration, right? But as this guy is kind of shooting at me, I want to try and grab all of these items around us. And okay, we got stuck on the staircase right there, and our character's getting stuck in that weird... There's a weird glitch with your character's attacks where you're going to end up getting stuck in a constant animation of attacking. There you go, you stupid mage. Like, seriously, get out of my face. Okay, what did we end up getting out of these guys? Any loot that's actually worthwhile? Nope. We've got a... boomstick, which is going to end up being the same shotgun blast thing, but the attack damage on these things is just not enough, dude. Like, seriously, that's the whole problem, is it's like you keep getting all these items. So another thing that we can do very strategically is if I end up pushing this strategically, listen to me, if we push this table into the way, we can actually use it to kind of keep us alive, because this guy's not going to be able to push through it, right? Which, I mean, unfortunately now it seems like we're going to have to wait. Okay, this is really bad. I guess that's where this weapon becomes quite useful, just because of the knockback that it has. Like you see right there, we got to knock him. Oh, we didn't knock him onto the spikes. I thought that we did. Oh gosh, and now we got to deal with a slime. These guys kind of suck, dude, because you got to time the attack just right. Otherwise, you'll end up missing, and then they potentially can end up attacking you. And everything as of right now is just annihilating my face. Okay. Oh no. Now we got a stupid idiot bug to deal with. At least we got to one-shot him. Then we got another enemy over here. No. We got a smithy. Can we end up finally? I just want to construct a new piece of gear here. Please don't notice me. Stay away from me. Okay. Ooh. This is all I wanted to do this entire time, was just get up here so that we could end up seeing what this was about. So we got the anvil right here, and then what about this? Oh, it's all just interacting. Okay, so this is really cool. Unfortunately, I don't think we can actually make anything, because the way that works is we would end up taking this journeyman stick, for example. We put that in there. And then we put the mace head on the top, and you can actually change the direction of it, whether it's in the top or in the back or in the front and stuff like that, right? And then what we would need to end up doing, we could end up putting these gems into it, which the gems are, of course, going to end up making the item, like, that much stronger, which we can't actually use this one because we need the strength. But it needs a shaft blade and a head, and that's it apparently. So we are going to be able to do this, which is perfect. I don't know what this mist component is. I guess that's just for the sake of making it look cool. Can we actually just click and drag it to any spot that we want? No, it seems like it has to be in a specific spot, which is a bit weird, but we can actually alter some of the customization, so you can end up swapping the mace over to the right and doing other weird things, right? So it's pretty cool that they actually have this amount of customization to it. Oh, I see. So we gotta put the item onto it, and then we can click and drag it anywhere we want. So we can end up doing this, and we actually get to see a nice little icon of where our character's hand is going to be. So let's actually make this idiot mace. I spelt that wrong, but there we go. Cool. That's so neat. So it's got lifesteal 0.5%, icy swing, which is ice damage, and then an ice gem to it. So we can actually disassemble it. Does that end up just giving us all of the items right back, I wonder? Oh my gosh, this thing is like really, really powerful. That's kind of what I was expecting, was that when we end up getting to this tier in the game, like I thought that custom weapons was gonna be where it's at, you know? Because seriously, dude, like up to this point, everything is like so super duper weak. It just makes sense that you would need to get to these custom tiered weapons. So let's see how strong this actually is. Oh, that is powerful. Oh my goodness gracious, that is strong. And then we need 11 strength, so 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Perfect. Now, are we going to be able to add on to this item, or do we just dismantle it outright, and then we end up just getting the item out of it? Maybe that's just going to end up being how it works, right? So let's just try this. That's actually a flame weapon too. Very, very cool. I want to drop this mace on the ground then. Let's see, can we end up dismantling this? And yeah, okay, cool. So you can just dismantle no problemo, dude. That's really, really cool. So let's put the ice thing right there, and then this is going to give us even more lifesteal, and it actually is to do with a mace. Perfect. So now it's already got the max amount of components that we can put on. Slightly better idiot mace. This is so cool, dude. Like, this is where it's at. All we needed to do is get to these custom weapons, and I really like the customization of these weapons. Like, you can actually make these things look really, really cool. Man alive. So, anyways, I guess... Oh, geez, Louise. Well, this is probably where we're going to end up dying. Never mind, maybe we won't, just because we're doing so much more damage here. Like, ay caramba. I would love to actually, like, record this game and have it as like a more steady, like, I would like to actually have a series on it, but the fact that it's a roguelike does mean that we are going to end up, you know, running into problems, because it means that when you die, that's it. It's just game over. You don't end up, you know, you don't have a second chance or anything like that. Even if you end up going to perma-death on your account, it just means that you're going to end up wiping, as opposed to what we've got right now, where we just flat out, ooh, that requires 12 strength. That's actually really good. Where if we end up dying, we go back to the beginning with all of our levels and stuff like that, right? So that's kind of the only thing that you get to keep. Which, I mean, it's cool, but it's at the same time, it's like, come on, dude. Like, that's so mean, you know? Like, what's the point in even having save points? Okay, so where are we on the map right here? Let me actually zoom that in a little bit here so you guys can end up seeing it a little bit better. So we gotta go... We only have a little bit more to this floor, thankfully. Oh, gosh. Hello, you stupid rat. Huh! I love the mace weapons, dude. They're like so powerful. I'm actually quite surprised. I've never actually used them effectively when we ended up getting to this tier, right? So it's really nice that we can end up using them to our advantage to knock all these enemies into the spikes and stuff. And we get a nice little sneak peek of the surface. And based on the achievements that this game has too, by the way, Reapers, I'm pretty confident that the way it works is when you get to the end game, I think you end up like going into the dungeon again. Do you know what we're going to do? We're going to take our invincibility potion here, because this is going to end up going very badly for me if I don't do this. Like, it's already going very badly for us anyway, so let's just try and smack him to death. This is the whole thing, is if you don't end up using your charged attack, like, geez Louise, if you don't use your charged attack, like, it's so useless, you know? Like, your attacks in general, oh man, and then I just got wrecked. That's the thing that kind of sucks about this game, dude, is that you have to use charged attacks in order to actually even cause damage. Like, that was my mistake. I got greedy because I thought hitting him over and over was going to kill him eventually, because of the fact that we were able to one-shot all the other bugs by using a charged attack. But otherwise, so far, that's kind of the whole thing about this game, is it's like, you pretty much just have to play it so safe, you know? Like, I got a little too overly confident there, running in there like I did, and should have just stuck back, used the same strategy to kill one enemy at a time. But that gets old after a while, man. Like, I love this game, but it's got some serious balancing issues. I mean, granted, it's a roguelike, and we do get to keep our level and everything like that, so that's kind of the whole point, is now, technically speaking, the game is easier. And what we could have done, too, is I could have put that magic mace into the drop box so that we could have ended up getting it on our new file here. But in any case, now we're ending the video where we ended up starting at, right back in the dungeon again. Thanks for watching, though, folks. Very much appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, favorite, and subscribe for more daily content. That's also going to build up loyalty points on my merch store. Links are in the description for that. And for the fans that want to go the extra mile, you can donate to me for absolutely free with Gawkbox. Check links in the description for that as well. Sign on, stay epic, everybody.